Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to replace the air filter on our 2018 Toyota Sequoia with a K&N. I'm also going to slightly modify the factory intake box. I am going to cut this charcoal filter out. It probably won't make any difference at all, but at least I'll get to play around with something and tinker. Thing you want to do, obviously pop the hood. And when you're looking in your engine bay, you want to go that direction. Now that we've got that open, we want to take the top part of the clamshell off. If you've never done this before, it's very simple. Grab the bottom of this clip, pop it out. There is one more right here. Pop that guy out. Now you can lift this guy up. Look under there. Oof, this one's dirty. So I'm going to take this filter out. All right. Let's check out how dirty it is. It is pretty filthy. This thing's done its job. We're gonna toss this one out. Now before I put any sort of new filter in here, I'm gonna go grab my vacuum with the little fuzzy head, and I'm gonna vacuum whatever I can out of here. I'm also gonna slightly modify the factory intake box. I don't wanna do an aftermarket intake. The factory intake works just fine, but I am gonna cut this charcoal filter out, which is part of the emission system to catch fuel vapors after the engine's shut off. I know, they're not very restrictive, but this thing's old and probably dirty anyway. And I'm gonna take it out, free up a little bit of airflow with that new K&N filter, maybe pick up maybe 1 horsepower, who knows? It probably won't make any difference at all, but at least I'll get to play around with something and tinker. And maybe the intake will be a little bit more throaty sounding. First thing you want to do is remove this little connector. There you go. Next, you want to pull this little connector off right there. And grab a 10mm socket and undo this clamp. Now lift up and rotate a little bit to loosen it up. There you go. That whole assembly's out. All right, I think all you got to do, so these are just little plastic welds, I think. Yep, that's all they are. So what I'm gonna do is grab a little flathead and try to pry up right underneath these. And hopefully just get this off in one piece. Here we go. Yep. Right there. There. Perfect. That's it. There's that charcoal filter completely taken off. Now I'm also going to go back and just use a little razor blade to clean up some of this. That way we don't have all those fuzzies that'll make their way into the engine. You don't want to leave it like that. I think I got most of them cleaned up. So you just want to get them, mostly flat. If there's any little hanging pieces of plastic or any of the fabric material, just make sure to pull it off. You don't want any of that to end up in your intake track. Once you're done, tap it out, run a towel through it, maybe some compressed air, make sure there's nothing left in there. Get all this gross dust off of the edges. Just put it back clean. Oh, I know, don't use oiled K&N filters. I like them, they're okay. I think the factory ones are actually awesome. But just figured I'd use a K&N this time. No big deal. I just don't like reusing them. You know how people clean them and you're supposed to be able to re-oil them? I never ever do that. I'll use them one time, just like a regular filter. But that's on. We'll put the top part of the Airbox clamshell on. Make sure that lines up with that little divot right there. Before I tighten this clamp, I'm going to clamp the Airbox together. There's that clip. You put the clip on top, go down. Here's this one, clip on top, go down, wiggle it around, make sure it's seated properly. Now I'm gonna tighten that. Don't make the mistake of over tightening the worm clamp. This is not holding pressure or anything. All it needs to do is hold that snug. Next, find the hole, and clip this back in. Now clip your connector back on for the mass airflow sensor. And that's it, you're done. Go for a test drive, see how you like the change in sound, if you feel any sort of power increase on your butt dyno, and enjoy.